Finally get a computer. Successfully hype up return video with frequent Instagram posts. Use a dead meme within the first 5 seconds of the video. Yeah, all I did was put a AA battery in a mouse. I have no clue why they kicked me out of the pet store. Alright, everyone listen up. This channel has been dead for 2 months. I refuse to let the ratings go down anymore. So let's go, let's get to work, let's go! Okay, this is the first video back. Just read the script, no edgy jokes, none of that shock humor nonsense, okay? Action. You know when I made that video about hitting my crush's dog with a baseball bat? I give him 1 job. And how I told you that story was made up and how I don't actually hit dogs with blunt objects? Fun times. Why am I bringing this up? Because I've done much worse than that. The story starts off with a predicament that is all too familiar for most people. Catching feelings. I'm surprised I never brought this up in a video, but I'm actually a black belt. Take that with a grain of salt though, because I'm also an animator / video editor. So I spend a good amount of my time sitting in front of a computer snorting caffeine. So I am a black belt, but am I really a black belt? I took Taekwondo as a kid and I actually got to meet a lot of cool people, none of which I talk to anymore because that's just how life and growing up works. You will lose contact with all of your closest friends. One of the people I met, however, is a girl that I will name Jessica. Now, I'm pretty sure you can see where this story is going. Yes, I had a crush on Jessica, blah, 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 blah. I was too awkward to initiate conversation. Basic YouTube animator social awkwardness. Anyways, I was around 15, right when I was beginning to hit my growth spurt. I was maybe around the 5'11" to 6 mark. Most of my height coming from my legs, and since Taekwondo is a martial art that is almost 80% kicking, I felt like an actual anime supervillain in this class, man. I was the biggest and I definitely had the longest reach out of everyone. I stacked bodies to the ceiling. Like, I went in, yo. Like, I went for heads. I beat those children. I wanted more smoke than the Amazonian rainforest. No, I'm not gonna lie. I actually lost to the people who are, good at martial arts, but it's my story and I'm not animating them, hence the black screen. So basically my plan was to attract her with my obvious physical prowess. Now, that would be a little hard because I only had one good karate move. Man, if you don't start animating again! And that one good move I had was the right side back roundhouse kick. Because honestly, throughout my entire martial arts career, I relied solely on my height to up in the ranks, meaning I never really worked out, so my punches were lame, the left side of my body was extremely weak, so my left punches were even weaker than my already mediocre right punch, and my left kicks were laughable. But since most of my body is leg and my right side was stronger, that meant well, since I was in a dojo full of kids with my right kick, you could call me a young black Anakin Skywalker. So one day we had to do this exercise where we had to punch a bag, punch again, and then kick and do that down the line while everyone was watching. So I figured this would be a great way to impress her. But as I previously stated, my punches were lame, so I knew I had to make up for them with the kicks. Now I'm going to mediocrely animate exactly what this probably looked like. So I'm going down the line and occasionally looking at her, and as I get closer and closer to the end, I'm seeing her eyes widen and widen, and clearly, that could only mean one thing. This might actually be working. Now I'm going even harder and harder than before after noticing this, and halfway down the line, man, I'm getting hyped. So my kicks are getting stronger and stronger, and her eyes are getting wider and wider, and at the last kick, I know for a fact, her eyes are glued to me. So I prepared to knock her off of her feet. So with her watching, I widen my stance, I focus, and perform the hardest kick that I have ever done. The poor soul holding the bag falls to the ground, and I know for a fact that she saw me do that. Why? That's because she was the one holding the bag. Yeah, students were holding the bags, but I was lazy and drew these bags instead. So when I said her eyes were widening and widening, that was probably out of fear. I figured it would be like a, yeah, girl, let me just show you how strong I am. But in reality, I just kicked the wind out of a teenage girl. Like, I dusted that poor girl, man. I put Ray Rice to shame with that kick, man. O.J. Simpson has nothing on me. Okay, fine. I'll be motivational and uplifting. Just be yourself, man. Trying to impress girls with physical feats almost never works. But don't take advice from me because I kick 15-year-old girls in the stomach. I'm getting canceled.